Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust.
And we are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to talk all things publishing related.
All of it.
Today, we are talking about how agents even approach the subject of revisions for their client.
I have come off a lot of revisions recently, and I am not done. It is revision central over here.
Yeah, working in picture books, I feel like half my day is spent doing revisions because they're turned around so fast.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think sometimes authors will send a book and clients, I'm speaking, and they want to know why in a week we're not done. And it's so for me, I have come to guesstimate that I can do about 35 to 50 pages a day, and that's it. So when I'm reading your manuscript, that's going to be my max.
Yeah.
And, and I might be able to get to it every day, but there might be a day in there where I'm booked up with meetings and I can't. So if you have a 400-page manuscript or whatever your manuscript is, I think you need to think of, okay, well, this is about how long it's going to take.
Well, that's the thing too, right? So that's probably where we should start. Anytime you send your book over to your agent, you should probably keep in mind that there may be anywhere from 1 to, 10 other books before you in the queue. Agents will spend, that's one of our most important jobs, right? Like we have to get books edited before we can get books on submission to get the sales that we need. So
it's
agents
also the most, I'm sorry, it's also the most time consuming.
Right. That's what I was going to say. So agents will obviously factor that into their schedule, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
They're not something that we can just turn around, unless we're doing a picture book, turn around in a day or two.
Yeah, and it depends on the book sometimes too, and how much work it needs. And also it depends. So sometimes nonfiction, which I might be working on proposal, and it might be a 50-page proposal, and someone might think, well, then you could do that in a day or maybe 2. And the truth is that actually takes me longer because a nonfiction proposal is often not just revising in the way fiction is, but it sometimes might also be rethinking the entire structure of the book. And that alone in the thought process. And the other thing is, I don't know about you, but I have to be in the right head to do revisions.
Well, I was just going to say so you said it a couple weeks ago that it's a creative process.
Yeah.
Revising is a creative process. We might not be writing, but we are getting into a different head space that has to produce creativity. We have to come up with ideas. We have to make sure something is working creatively. So there are so many factors that go into that. First, we have to be in the mood to do it.
We do, because if I'm super tired, I might be reading and missing things. I might find myself just reading the book and not using my editorial hat. Or I might, if I'm really busy or distracted by a lot of things, I might miss things, or I might do the opposite, which is actually worse, is I might over edit. I might start to overthink everything. And this sometimes happens if I've been reading and editing too long, is I start to overthink every line instead of looking at big picture, and I potentially making a mess of things.
Yeah. But also, like, you could have come off just editing that book, just editing 4 other books, and things get scrambled. And I don't care what you tell me. If I am reading 8 different picture books, I'm getting scrambled on how to edit this one in particular. So sometimes we do need that transition period of taking a couple days off before we dive into something new.
Yeah, and sometimes I need time to process. So sometimes I will edit a book and take a couple of days, and while I'm not physically in front of the manuscript, I'm thinking about it on walks and, while I'm making my coffee and whatever else, and thinking, okay, why isn't that working for me? What's not working? What are some thoughts I have on how the author can make this work? And I'm kind of mulling all of this over until I can go back with some real concrete advice to the author.
Yeah, and that could come from anywhere. That can come from reading another client's book. That can come from reading a published book, like just that spark of inspiration. But you really can't, the same way we can't force a writer to write, we really can't force that.
No, and it can come from just space too.
Yeah.
Space from the book can be exactly what I need. So, you know, that's why I want to have the time and the freedom to take the time I need to make those revisions right.
Which I think is incredibly important if we're doing rounds. So if you send me around and I send you revisions and it's turned around in a week or two, then I am immediately like, that's got to sit. I have to just, all systems have to just calm down before we dive back in.
That doesn't usually happen quite that fast in adult. Sometimes, but not usually.
But in picture books, we can get it the next day. And then sometimes it has to sit.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, because, you know, the other thing is, so my goal is to get those revisions done in as few of rounds as possible. Ideally 2, sometimes 3, but ideally 2.
Yeah.
The first, if it's 3 rounds, the first might be we've had a conversation, let's say that initial offer of rep. I've given you sort of my outline of what needs to be changed. And before I get into my revisions, you take those thoughts and work them into the manuscript. So what you send me is now a fresh look. And then I go in and do revisions. And then the final round is really just a cleanup, a few tweaks. And then you send me the final cleaned up, perfect manuscript to go on submission. That would be my ideal for Max. Because any more times I have to read beyond that, I'm losing perspective and I'm not really doing, I can't see, you know, I've seen so many versions at this point. If it's the same scene, I can't figure it out anymore.
Yeah. It's true, especially in longer works where those scenes are stretched out over pages and dialogue and introspection and all of that. It's, especially if there's no track changes, it can be a lot. But
yeah, I really prefer that the author use track changes after that first initial, after I give my first round. Well, so when I go in and really make my notes in the manuscript, then I prefer the author use track changes because I don't need to then read the entire manuscript again. I just need to read those points that needed the most work. And it's faster for both of us. But also it wears me down less, and probably for the author too wears them down less, I hope.
Yeah. So when we, all of those circumstances aside, when we finally dive into a manuscript and we are revising, what are you looking for?
Well, I guess there's some key things I'm looking at. I'm looking editorially, not, you know, probably not the same things your critique group is looking at, you know. I'm looking for plot holes, you know, character discrepancies, things like that. But I'm also looking at things that might slow it down and stop the reader from reading. And I guess that's sort of the key. If I read, you know, a chapter 3 that seems to go off track, I think, well, this could be the point where the editor stops reading and will miss the fact that the rest of the book is fantastic.
That's what I was going to say. That's the number one thing that I'm looking for. Like, do I ever get to a point where I am just like, okay, now I can stop and I'll come back tomorrow? Because that point is something that I want to look at closer.
Yeah, because I don't want the editor to reject it and have missed the whole thing. So that's really, I mean, at the core, I am looking for reasons an editor would reject it, and I'm trying to fix it. So a lot of that comes to pacing. It's the key things. It's pacing, it's world building, it's characterization, problematic marketing, or something that might, I don't want to clean up a book. You know, if you have a triggering scene in your book that might trigger some editors, but not all, I'm not going to take that out if it's key to the book, because we can't please everybody. But if it's also not valuable or important to the story, I might ask you to take it out. That would be a conversation we have. But really, it's all about what's going to stop this book from getting sold.
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to preemptively fix anything we think an editor might reject for.
Right. Yep. Yep,
Yeah,
that's the
you
number
don't
one.
want to receive a rejection and be like, I knew I should have said something.
Ah.
I could have fixed that.
I learned that the hard way. There were times as an agent when I would honestly sort of, oh, it'll be fine. Maybe I was worn down. Maybe I was worried, when I was younger, maybe I was worried about asking too much of the author or felt that the author knew better than me. And I'm not afraid anymore. I will make you do the hard work if it means that I don't have to hear from an editor that they're rejecting it for the very reason I thought they might.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's our goal. We want to make a saleable product. So
Yep.
any revisions that we give you is with that in mind.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And at the end of the day, it's also about helping you get a really great book, but the two should go hand in hand.
Yep. Agreed. Well, we hope that was helpful. That's just a little behind the scenes peek of how an agent will even start this process and get you your revision notes. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We'd be happy to answer them. And we hope to see you back here next time.
Bye.